Coulter. She is the noted lawyer, author, and bomb thrower. She threw another bomb, I guess, on Friday. She appeared at the CPAC conference. That's the Conservative Political Action Committee conference, an annual event in Washington. And we have some tape we're going to roll. This is what she had to say about John Edwards.
I was going to have a few comments on the other Democratic presidential candidate, John Edwards, but it turns out that you have to go into rehab if you use the word faggot. So.
Now, here's my question, Gene Robinson. She said this in front of an audience. There were a lot of reporters there. The first day, nothing in the New York Times, nothing on CNN, one reference in the Washington Post that didn't use the F word, which I'm not going to repeat here. The LA Times did report what she had said and used the word that she had used, the anti-gay slur that she had used. But only after a lot of politicians, mostly Democrats, started beating up on Ann Coulter, did the rest of us decide, well, maybe this was a story. What do you make of that?
A couple of things. I think, you know, we may have missed the story. It's an outrageous thing to say. And she should be called on it. You know, I think there might be a kind of countervailing impulse, though, which is, you know, Ann Coulter's shtick is to say outrageous things and to you know, take the flack for it. It's been very lucrative for her, and I think there might be a fear of kind of aiding and abetting in that kind of grand scheme to pad the bank account of Ann Coulter by seeming more and more outrageous. So there's a tendency not to help her along in that.
But the flip side of that, Roger Simon, is that if we collectively as journalists say, well, there she goes again saying something outrageous, why should we give her the publicity, she gets away with it. And this is a woman who just a few short months ago said that the 9/11 widows were enjoying their celebrity, enjoying their husband's death. So what do you make of the initial, I don't want to call it a blackout, but the initial lack of coverage?
We're all gawkers at the car wreck, and it's very hard for the media to turn its face away. Every now and then we decide to be responsible and not, as Gene aptly put it, advance the career of Ann Coulter. She's not running for president. She's a media creature. She exists by being extreme.
Hold on. She was introduced by Mitt Romney at this Conservative Political Action Committee, so therefore, for the conservative movement, she's an important figure.
Mitt Romney mentioned her in his speech. He didn't introduce her, but I take your point. But the thing is, you see now, the story was driven from its very first utterance by the internet. And it's very hard now for the mainstream media to ignore a story that's up on the internet continuously, as the Ann Coulter story was.
John Edwards, in fact, has the video of her calling him that name on his website, and he's using it to try to raise money. Now, the New York Times, which I said, Blankita, had nothing the first day, has a story in this morning's paper. Adam Nagurney got a response from Ann Coulter. She says, come on, it was a joke. I would never insult gays by suggesting they are like John Edwards. That would be mean.
Well, you know, first of all, she's a takeoff and traffickant who insulted the Congress and called them prostitutes, and he said he was sorry that they called the Congress prostitutes. He didn't want to hurt their feelings, the prostitutes. But the thing of it is, look, where do we have the outrageous meter? Where does the press really come in? Is it with John Edwards, who had the bloggers that call the right-wing Christo-fascists? I mean, is it when we have Farrakhan, who calls the Pope a cracker? I mean, where is the outrageous meter?
Well,
okay?
Where does this fall? Answer your own question. Where does this fall in the outrage meter?
Free speech, okay? And I would say...
Well, she's entitled to say whatever she wants. Shouldn't we cover it?
I think you should cover it. I think you should cover John Edwards' bloggers. I think that the conscience of America is really now almost phony, though, because in some ways, if you go to the blogs and you look at the blogs, they're a lot rougher and a lot meaner than anything that Ann Coulter would say, but it still goes back to free speech.
We did cover the John Edwards bloggers as well, who were resigned under pressure. Gene Robinson, Roger Simon, Blankita Cullum, thanks very much for joining us.